We're learning Tractate Pesachim, Parakrisha, the first chapter. Names of the chapters are also we're holding by Daf Design, which is 16a1. Start from the top. Sofek Mashkin Tamer Tamer Cherim Tar. You have a doubt in regard to beverages, whether they are contaminated or not, we would render them tamer. But if we have a doubt whether they contaminate other, they transmit the tumah, we will say it's tahar. Okay. Div Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Lezer would say like Rabbi Meir. In regard to anything that might have been touched by a tameh beverage, the rule is that it is tameh out of doubt. So Rabbi says completely different than Rabbi Meir, that a beverage also transmits tumah. Rabbi lakoil tameh. In regard to anything that might have been touched by a tameh beverage, the rule is that it is tameh out of doubt. In regards to food that might have been touched by tameh beverages, the rule is that they are tameh out of doubt. But in regard to utensils that might have been touched by tameh beverages, the rule is that they are toher out of doubt. So Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon together, it seems like they're saying it together that they're differentiating between food and utensils. So in regards to food that might have touched by tameh beverages, tameh out of doubt. In regard to the utensils, they are tahor. We see from this baita that according to Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Lezer, the capacity of tameh beverages to contaminate other things is rabbinical in nature. But according to Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda, morning. But according to Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda, the capacity of tameh beverages to contaminate other things is biblical in nature. Well, that really summarizes somewhat this machlokes up till now of Meir Rabbi Lezer saying that the capacity of beverages to contaminate other things is rabbinical. But according to Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda, the capacity of tameh beverages to contaminate other things is biblical in nature. And it makes ultimately a difference in halacha. What would be halacha in case of tameh beverages? This concludes the Gemara's analysis of our Mishnah. Now the Gemara commences an extensive discussion of the status of tameh beverages, beginning with an examination of Rabbi Lezer's opinion.
Lezer says rabbinic?
Rabbi Lezer says, like Rabbi Meir, that the beverages have the capacity of becoming tameh but not contaminating other things.
Okay.
So we're starting off, beginning with an examination of Rabbi Lezer's opinion. The preceding Vaita cited Rabbi Lezer concurring with Rabbi Meir, agreeing with him, indicating that under biblical law, beverages can acquire tumah but cannot convey tumah, cannot convey it to other things. So the Gemara questioned this citation. Does Rabbi Lezer hold that beverages have any tumah susceptibility whatsoever under biblical law? Vatanya, it was taught in a Beit Rabbi Lezer, ein tumah l'mashkin kolika. The law of tumah does not apply to beverages at all under biblical law. Teda, you may know that this is true. Share Eid Yosef ben Yoezer ish tzreido alel kamzo. Yosef ben Yoezer ish tzreido. It says in number 5 that his testimony is one of the many Tanoic declarations cited in Tractate Pesachim. He is referred to as Yosef ben Yoezer, which is how he is referred to in other places as well. A variant version of the text here also reads Yosef. However, we have preserved the printed version because Tzreida is a finger in Aramaic. I think it's even referring to the pinky. So there's a story behind why is it called that way. I was hoping they'll put it down, but
Get another book. And they have the book, but your son has. They have it.
take out this one and that'll be easier. Yeah. And if they're going with alphabet, Hanina, Yechanan, Yechanan Rafet, Yechanan Nuri, Yechanan. No, they didn't put him as Yosef ben Chalafto.
No, that's somebody else. He's in the Prokiova.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, you found it. Okay, good.
It says the first set of Sugyas, Yosef ben Yoezer served as Nasi. First set of Sugos. Yosef ben Yoezer served as Nasi, while Yosef ben Yechanan served as the Av Beis Din. They had the first halachic dispute in history.
Wow.
Yosef ben Yoezer of Tzreida and Yosef ben Yechanan of Yerushalayim received the Messiah, the tradition of oral law from the teachers Shimon HaTzadik and Antigonus Yisercha, and they in turn transmitted it to the leaders of the following generations, Yeshua ben Pachio and Ataya al-Beli. It says they're also mentioned in the Pirkei Avos.
Right.
There was something with the one of the 10
Morris?
yeah, mortars. Anyhow,
Okay.
so the Sava Abu Lezer. Oh, so come Yosef ben Yoezer Seder, and he testifies about El Kamtzo, about the species of grasshopper known as El Kamtzo, Dochon, that it is Toher. Val Mashkin Beis Mitbachayo, and about the beverages of the temple butchering place, the beverages of the temple butchering place, Dochon, that they are Toher as well. So El Kamtza, this grasshopper, if you find it, you can eat it, Toher. And regarding the beverages of the temple butchering place, Dochon, it was in the Rambam yesterday. If you're learning the Rambam 3 chapters, it speaks about the laws of Beis Bechira. So the Rambam described the butchering place in the Beis Hamikdash, the Beis Hamikdash. It says that there was 8 amos between the tables, and each table there was 8 tables, and they were made out of shaish, which is marble. This is where they would place the pieces of meat.
We learn in Mizrachim.
Yeah. It's interesting when you read the Rambam, you see a lot of the things from the Gemara. Like, remember we learned the word stav, that it was rows of benches. Remember?
Yeah.
So Rambam uses that language also. So anyhow, what does this to do with? So he testified, Yosef ben Yoezer, that the mashkin beverages of the temple butchering place are tohor, not subject to tumah. Now, if beverages were susceptible to tumah biblically, there would be no exception in regard to the beverages of the butchering place. Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony indicates that in his opinion, beverages are susceptible to tumah only rabbinically. Since Rabbi Elazar bases his opinion on that of Yosef ben Yoezer, it is obvious that he too considers beverages susceptible to tumah only rabbinically. This contradicts the opinion attributed to him in the previous baita. And you remember, anything that is rabbinically prohibited, in the Beis Hamikdash it was overruled or overridden or set aside.
Was okay, correct?
Yeah. I don't know if it was on all things, but so far that's the rule of thumb that we saw. The Gemara notes that there are 2 possible interpretations of the latter Baiso, and the difficulty pertains to only one of them. Manicha l'Shmuel d'Omar, all is well, according to Shmuel, who said that Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony means Doch and miletame tu masacherim. The beverages of the butchering place are tohor, in the sense that they are precluded from contaminating other things. Aval tumas atzmon yeshloin, but they are subject to acquiring tuma themselves. Amongst the Shapir, according to this interpretation, Rabbi Elazar's opinion in the second baita fits well with his opinion in the first baita. But since his opinion in the second baita is based on that of Yosef ben Yoezer, his statement that Tumah does not apply to beverages under biblical law refers only to the capacity of beverages to contaminate other things. But he concedes that beverages themselves can become tameh biblically. This is identical with his opinion in the first baita. Ela le-Rav de-Amar, but according to Rav, who said that Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony means dochen mamish, that the butchering place beverages are literally tohor and are not susceptible to tumah at all. What is that? What can he say? According to Rav's interpretation, Rabbi Elazar clearly means to prove from Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony that beverages cannot even become tameh themselves under biblical law. Yet the first baita stated that Rabbi Elazar agrees with Rabbi Meir, who holds that even under biblical law, beverages can become tameh themselves and are merely precluded from contaminating other things. So it would be a challenge to Rabbi Lozo if he follows Rabbi Meir. He follows Rabbi Meir, but if he follows Yosef ben Yoezer, seemingly he does not hold that beverages have any tumah whatsoever. Rabbi Menashe Amitay said, when the first Baita states that Rabbi Lozo concludes Rabbi Meir, Achdo. Always remember the concept of beverages as being susceptible to tumah themselves or being able to transmit to others. So far, in the first statement of Rabbi Lozo, the second sounds like in both cases he tells us that they are unable to transmit tumah to others. Now the question is if they themselves become tummy. If he follows Rabbi Meir, then they become tummy. They can become tummy, they just don't have the ability to transmit. But according to Yosef ben Yoezer, it sounds like they don't even become tummy themselves. According to Rab's interpretation of Lezer's, clearly means to prove that Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony he wants to prove from Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony that beverages cannot even become tamei themselves under biblical law. Yet the first Baita stated that Rabbi Elazar, concludes with Rabbi Meir, who holds that even under biblical law, beverages can become tamei themselves and are merely precluded from contaminating other things. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Achado. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak said, when the first Baita states that Rabbi Elazar concludes with Rabbi Meir, it refers only to one of Rabbi Meir's rulings. Rabbi Elazar concludes with Rabbi Meir's letters rule. In the case of a doubt whether a tamei beverages contaminated something else, we deem it tahor because the capacity of beverages to contaminate other things is rabbinical. So you have a doubt, and sofek doraisa lechum or sofek derabbanan lekula, and you have a doubt if it's in rabbinical situation. Therefore, it's lekula. However, it disagrees with Rabbi Meir's first rule that in the case of a doubt, whether a beverage itself was contaminated, we deem it tamei. According to Rabbi Elazar, we deem it tahor because even the susceptibility of beverages themselves to tumah is rabbinical. So you can have two possible sfeikus, doubts. One, if the beverage is tamei itself, and number two, if the beverage transmitted tumah. So if it's rabbinical, in both cases, I would rule leniently. If beverage is susceptible to tumah, is rabbinically, in the first doubt, whether the beverage is tamei or not, I would rule leniently, because sofek rabbanan lekula, always. When you have a doubt in a rabbinical provision, it's always lekula. We would rule leniently. But if it's biblical,
if it's double sfeika, then for sure,
right?
you'd say it didn't transmit.
So you see how it becomes a double sfeika if it's transmitting tumah. If I have a doubt whether it becomes even if it's susceptible to much more, so that it's a doubt whether it can transmit tumah. Now, if it's biblical, that it is susceptible to tumah, so then you have to rule stringently in a case where you have a doubt whether the beverage itself is tamei. And if it's biblical, you have a doubt whether the beverage is transmitting tumah or not. You still have to see how is it all connected with Pesach, right? Remember, we're learning Tractate Pesachim.
We didn't get back to that yet.
Back to the Vov, come on. But the first Baita states, and so too did Rabbi Elazar say, like Rabbi Meir's words, the nefishe and the plural form of words implies that Rabbi Elazar concurred with both of Rabbi Meir's ruling, ve'oid, and furthermore, ve'ho v'chein ketoni. What was both of Rabbi Meir's rulings? It says in 12, literally, there are many, the expression kidavaro, which have been translated like his words, also means like his statements, or like his opinions. The plural form implies that Rabbi Elazar concurred with more than one of Rabbi Meir's rulings. The Gemara concludes Kashi. The Gemara focuses on the dispute between Rav and Shmuel that was just cited. Gufa Rav Omar Docha Mamish. Yosef ben Yehuda's testimony means that the beverages of the butchering place are literally tahor, are not susceptible to tumah. Shmuel Omar, no, Shmuel says, Docha Meletam Tumas Acherim. When it says that tahor, it's that they are not contaminating other things. But they are subject to acquiring tumah. So there's a machlokes between Rav and Shmuel in the interpretation of Yosef ben Yehuda's testimony. When you say it's tahor, you mean it's tahor itself tahor, or they're just not able to make other things tameh? Rav Omar Dochel Mamish Kasava Tumah Mashkin Derabban. The reason Rav said that the beverage itself is tahor, because he says it doesn't have the ability because it's rabbinical. In general, he holds Tumah Mashkin Derabban. V'chigozu Rabbanon, and regarding what beverages did the rabbis decree that they should be subject to tumah b'mashkin d'alma? Only regarding beverages at large. B'mashkin base, so outside the temple butchering place. B'mashkin basis b'chalek gozu, was regarding the beverages of the butchering place, which is in the base of Mikdash, they did not enact this decree. Shmuel Omar, but Shmuel said, he says that what Yosef ben Yehuda meant when he said tohor, that the butchering place beverages are tohor in the sense that they are precluded from contaminating other things. Aval tumas atzman yeshloim, but they are subject to acquiring tumah themselves. Kasover, according to Shmuel, Yosef ben Yehuda holds tumas mashkin atzman d'oraisa, the tumah capacity of beverages, and so far as becoming tameh themselves, is biblical. L'tameh acherim derabbanon. Oh, now we see it's almost like a compromise. They say that the mashkin themselves can acquire tumah, that's biblical, but to transmit to others, that's rabbinical. V'chi gozu rabbanon, and regarding what beverages did the rabbis decree that they should be able to contaminate other things? B'mashkin d'alma, only regarding beverages at large. B'mashkin beismit b'chai lo gozu, but regarding the beverages of the butchering place, they did not enact this decree. V'chi lo gozu rabbanon l'tamui acherim avatum esatzman yishlam. They did not decree that they should contaminate others, but they themselves have tumah. They can become tameh. Rabuna Bar China said to his son, Ki oyol the of Papa, when you enter the yeshiva and go before of Papa. Ramilei posed the following difficulty to him. Mi omar Shmuel dochom etam tumas acherim v'tumas atzman yishloim. Did Shmuel made this statement that when you say tohor, they are tohor from transmitting tumah to others, but they themselves have tumah? Kirikan, read here the pasuk v'abos or sheriga b'chol tameh le'yochel, and the meat of kochim that touches anything tameh shall not be eaten. If the butchering place beverages can become tameh themselves, perforce they are also able to contaminate meat of kochim. But the pasuk teaches that kochim are contaminated by touching anything that is tameh. It clearly says והבוסר שהגיע בכל תומר לא יאכל. The moment touches anything that is tomer, should not be eaten. So it doesn't say food and not beverages. It says bakoil. Meat or kochim touches anything that is tomer, becomes tomer.
Isn't that with any food? Just true, just...
Yeah, but it seems like the Gemara is differentiating between beverages and food.
The dry
But
food
the pasuk,
doesn't make each other.
but the pasuk says va'bazal sheriga bakoil, meat of kochim touches anything that is tameh, it becomes tameh,
Just liquid, anything.
Including beverages.
including beverages.
Wait.
The chiddush is on beverages.
So wait, we're talking about the kosher meat.
Okay.
If it becomes tumah, then it makes.
No,
Meat of kochim, you gave a coat when you and they like I mentioned before with the tables, they put the meat on the table,
Right.
and a dead lizard touched the meat,
Okay.
or
And then it becomes tumah.
or a
Okay,
liquid touched the
fine. Yeah,
meat.
right, whatever. Okay, fine. I got
So
it.
outside tumah. But the pasuk is telling you that anything that is tumah that touches it.
Touches.
Anything tummy touches meat, kochim makes it tummy.
Okay.
So we see from here that beverages can transmit tumor.
Okay.
it's
It's part of
included in
anything.
anything.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh man. Why didn't you say Mazonas first? Oh, I thought I
I'm just gonna have it.
Shagru never do it.
I mean, same reason you didn't.
I'm under a strict diet. I'm joking. I don't know, in the morning I'm too early to eat.
I was eating till 1 o'clock in the morning for bringing virtually. Now, Jakeson had a really good for bringing last night.
I watched a little bit. I didn't feel he was talking much about Yutis Kislev itself. I saw he was speaking about other things.
He had been.
Yeah.
He does different sections at different times. His brother gave it.
And also, I read some of the comments bothered me. But it's Chil Hashem. There's no social distancing. It's so annoying. It's like they have to stick it in ever. Chil Hashem.
Oh, so what's on there?
See, like this thing about Ein Tov and Ein Ra.
Yeah,
It's like somebody only sees negative, somebody only sees positive.
That never went into my brain.
It's like I watched Trump was on last night in Georgia, so nobody was wearing a mask. And my wife said, "I'm big deal."
Yeah.
Good. I said, "Good, actually."
Amar Rav Shisha b'Rei Rav Idi midid Amar Rav Kodesh. Rav Shisha, the son of Rav Idi, said, "The butchering place beverages do not contaminate meat of kochim, because they are analogous to kodesh that is on the reveal level of tuma. Although it is contaminated, it cannot convey tuma even to kochim." Again, the butchering place beverages do not contaminate meat of kochim because they are analogous to kodesh that is on the reveal level of tuma. Although it is contaminated, it cannot convey tuma even to kochim. So although the pasuk says bakoil, but since liquid is also kodesh, the beverages are also kochim, and when they become contaminated, they only get the 4th degree of tuma, which is very light degree of tuma, so they are unable to transmit tuma. Kodesh is on the reveal level is not called tome, but rather unfit. Its inability to contaminate kochim is therefore in consonance with the verse cited above. Ha'ikre tome. This one, the beverages of the butchering place, however, is called tome, and according to the verse cited above, anything that is tome can contaminate kochim, kasher. So there's a difficulty over here because the language, if you're calling the beverages tame, then it's part of the pasuk. It's included in everything. and therefore it should be able to contaminate. So the Gemara now challenges Rav's view that beverages are not even susceptible to becoming tummy themselves biblically on the basis of a biblical verse. Tashma says, learn a refutation of Rav's view from the following verse: B'chol mashka asher ishose b'chol kli yitmo. Any beverage that can be drunk in any vessel shall be tummy. What is the pasuk is telling us?
That sounds.
So this is a pasuk in the book of Leviticus 11:34. The pasuk reads, "Mikol ha'oichel asher yochel." They didn't write the whole pasuk in the Gemara, but the whole pasuk is Mikol ha'oichel asher yochel. Any food that is going to be eaten, asher yover all of mine, that water is now poured over it or touched it, yitmo is susceptible to tumor. B'chol mashke asher yishose b'chol kli yitmo. So of any food that is edible upon which water comes shall be tameh, and any beverage that can be drunk in any vessel shall be tameh.
So how do rabbis rule that?
You see now the difference between the water of mikvah and water of water contained in a bathtub, for example. Filling the bathtub, sal toivel in the bathtub. So from this pasuk it says any water that comes into a kli is not it's susceptible to tumah. It's not don't have the power to purify you.
But with this pasuk, how do rabbis rule that?
Oh, so you'll see. So the Gemara analyzes the pasuk, says, "My itma." What does it mean? Any food or beverage that goes into a kli becomes tameh. My itma. What is the meaning of the expression "shall be tameh"? It means that the beverage touched a food. It made the food susceptible to tumah. It's not tameh. Remember, we said that's why you have to wash your hands if you're eating foods that are wet. It's like we don't say al netilas yadayim, but you wash your hands, or you can dry them. We see it many times with the grapes, because grapes you wash them before, or apples.
Pickles, people wash.
Pickles because they're wet. So, my yitma hichshir. It's to tell us that when you say tameh, it's not that it's literally tameh, it's susceptible to tumah. The food then becomes contaminated when exposed to a source of tumah. In other words, if the apple is dry, or the cucumber is dry, and something tameh touches it, it's not tameh until it's wet.
That's what you're saying.
When it's wet, then you can make it tameh. Then it's susceptible to tumah. So the law that if a beverage touched food, it made the food susceptible to tumah, is derived from the earlier segment of that pasuk. Mikol ha'oichel asher yochel, of any food that is edible, etc., upon which water comes shall be tameh. Why must the latter segment repeat the phrase shall be tameh to teach this rule again? Why is it repetitive? Chad bitlushin v'chad v'mechuborin. One segment of the verse deals with beverages that are detached from the ground. V'chad v'mechuborin, and the other one deals with beverages that are attached to the ground. What is beverages that are detached and attached? So spring water and rainwater that have gathered in a cistern or puddle are considered attached to the ground. Water that has been gathered in a vessel, as well as other beverages which are never attached in their natural state, are considered detached from the ground. Okay, so this is detached. puddle is attached. Even though you'd say, well, the water of the puddle came from rain, but it's still considered attached. If it's a big puddle, you can table there.
If the rain falls in a cup.
This was somebody asked me. Well, I didn't see a clear answer to it. If you have a swimming pool that it's emptied out, so you drained out and it's filled with rainwater, is it a perfectly good mikvah or not? Because now it's 100% rainwater.
Why wouldn't it be? That's
Right. I mean, on one hand it makes perfect sense, but on the other hand it doesn't have that mikvah system of. Because in mikvah, it's only 40 seah or a little bit more, 40 seah of rainwater. The rest of it is not even rainwater. It's regular water that's just coming through a special way that they're entering the mikvah in a special way.
Question.
Yeah.
If I have a garment that's all techelis,
It's like the beach. You go to the ocean, you travel in the ocean, it's perfectly kosher mikvah, right? But there, you can argue that things might get stuck in your feet because you're walking on the sand. And
You should always do these things.
okay.
but back then, in earlier times, women would go to lakes to travel.
Yeah.
In New Jersey, there was a state park, and I can't remember the name of it, and they had a stream, but they put a cement on the bottom of it, and so it was big. It was more than 40 seah, so that would have been
Yeah.
a kosher thing. You didn't have to worry about getting chatzitza.
Yeah, but it's in New Jersey.
Beautiful, up north.
Oh, in the mountains.
Yeah, I don't remember. Schwarzwood.
Utzriche,
The Schwarzwald.
Yeah.
The Black
and
Forest.
both segments are necessary. The Iyashmina V'Tlushin, for if the Torah had informed us this rule that beverages generate susceptibility to tumah in regard to detached beverages, we might have said that detached beverages have this capacity. Mishum de'achshivinu, because one made them significant by detaching them. It's like when you wash the fruits, you make them significant by washing them, and if they're significant, they're susceptible to tumah.
The swimming pool, back for a moment. If you had a mikveh designated
You can see why this question came up. It's like people saying, "Oh, we're making it difficult for us to go to mikvah. We're gonna find out how we can make it in our own backyard."
oh, that's
That's how the question came up.
Really?
Yeah. So he said, I'll empty my pool and fill it up with rainwater, and that would be.
how many gallons is 40 seah?
I think we saw it. There was. I think 288 or 86 gallons.
So you
Something
get a
like-
couple of heavy rains. You can.
Yeah, easy. You know that the oitzo, what we call the downstairs of the mikvah. The mikvah has it's a pit on top of a pit,
Yeah.
filled up in one day. Yeah, but it filled up in one day. I call it oitzo. It's called the oitzo is a place that it's storing the gather, store the water, and that was one day filled up. But here the heavy rain is heavy. It's like it's a tropical weather over here. I mean, in New York it can get
Heavy rain.
Yeah.
It can come down heavy and fast and
yeah.
voluminous. Yeah.
Over here, there's a time of the year. I'm not sure exactly what time is it, but it's like every day, like 2 to 4. It's like
Right.
heavy rain, and then as if nothing happened.
That's Sukkot.
Clear skies, sunny.
Sukkot is like this.
Is the Sukkot style?
But Rabbi, even if you fill the pool with regular water, when this kind of rain comes, it's going to.
I know, but then how much? How much actually is it swapping?
You never know.
Yeah, but it's not. It's mixed with. It's going to be mixed, but you
Yeah, but
don't
should
know
be
how what the
40%
percentage. You don't know what the percentage of rain and regular water.
But if I think it's 40%, it's okay. It don't have to be 100% rain.
Yeah, but when the rain was coming down, your pool was already to the top. So how much? It's only like it's only that much that adds up and spilled out immediately. And
But when it rains a lot,
they always
every
build
day,
the
every
pool.
day, every day.
They always build the pool in a slope. So even if you don't notice it, but there is a slope that when it rains, it right away drains out. But if you empty it purposely and let,
I had the intentions in my pool.
but you have to be careful.
Why?
So when they drain, if they don't know what they're doing, they drain out the pool, there's water under the pool. In Florida, there's water under the pool.
Right, 'cause you have a
And you
high
have to
water
drain
table.
them also. If you don't drain them, they create pressure and they can
Correct.
lift the whole pool.
Wow.
You
I'll
get
show you
a
pictures.
sinkhole, like a sinkhole.
I can show you pictures of pools that were all this much they went up and then it's finished.
Wow.
So there's a cap in the bottom that they open and they drain that too. They empty it for a while and then you can work on the pool, clean it, do other things that you.
Paint it, whatever you gotta do.
It's especially in Florida because 4 or 5 feet you're already reaching
Yeah,
water.
Very high water table here.
So I'm a Shisha Braid Rabidi.
Is this a separate compartment under the pool that holds water? Or just
No,
the general?
it's no general. The
Yeah.
general.
Just the
holds
water
water.
table is
Yeah.
there.
So once you try to empty it out as much as you can. I remember when they were building this mikveh over here, they had pumps. They were pumping water to this reservoir outside for days. Pumps were working for days to drain the water because they went in like almost like 20 feet.
To the,
You have to build cement and then have
You gotta have it down
4 or
to
5
the,
feet of the reservoir and then go another. And you still want people to go down. You go
Right.
down the steps, so you need to go down like I don't know 20 feet.
to the, where it's
Imagine how
where-
much they filled up the whole lake from this.
Yeah.
And they ended up on the street.
Rabbi,
Because it rained at
if,
the same
if
time.
inside the Beit HaMikdash, nothing rabbinic
Somebody lost their car.
make a...
Rabbinical enactment doesn't have the power to change the. If it's needed to be done in Beis Hamikdash, you can do it. If it's needed. No, they're not just saying, "Oh, we're avoiding your rules in Beis Hamikdash." If it collides with something that needs to get done in Beis Hamikdash, then it's being.
So they respect.
Yeah,
they
of course.
respect it. Oh, okay. It's not okay,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
No.
Oh, okay.
Rav Shisha Breder Avidi Midar Aviv HaKodesh. Rav Shisha, the son of Rav Idi, said the butchering place beverages do not contaminate meat of kochim because they are analogous to kodesh that is on the Revi level. So he asked him, but you call it Tomeh. So the Gemara says, it brings this pasuk. We asked the question on the pasuk, why is it redundant? So the Gemara says, the law that if a beverage touched food made the food susceptible to tumah is derived from the earlier segment of the verse. Of any food that is edible, upon which water comes, shall be tumah. Why must the latter segment repeat the phrase shall be tumah? So say one is for the attached and one that detached. So the for if the Torah informed us this rule only regards to detached beverages, we might have said that detached beverages have this capacity because they made significant, right? That's what we said. Something that is significant can contract tumah. Regarding beverages that are still attached to the ground, I might say that they do not have the capacity to make food susceptible to tumah. And if the Torah had taught this rule only in regard to beverages that are attached to the ground, I might have said that these beverages have the capacity to generate susceptibility to because since they are stationed in their original place, they are significant about flushin. But regarding detached beverages, I might say so. I need the Torah to tell me twice, lo ya'ochel, to teach me that even in detached or attached water, they can make food susceptible to tumor. And you can argue both ways why detached should make food susceptible to tumor and not attached, and why attached should make food, because each one has something of importance that the other one doesn't have. Detached, it says, oh, I have a detached, so it means that it has chashivus to me, and therefore it should make food susceptible to tumor when it touches it. And attached, you say, well, it's still in its original state, and that's why it has the capacity to transmit tumor. It has chashivus because it's remained in its natural state. So comes the Torah and tells us that it doesn't make a difference whether it's attached or detached. They can make food susceptible to tumor. Tashma. Another pasuk, Maya Nuvo Mikveh Mayim Yetoy, which this is also from Leviticus, chapter 11. It says, only a spring or a cistern, a gathering of water, shall be tohor. The pasuk teaches that water which is attached to the ground cannot become tameh. Now we see, this is amazing. Water attached to the ground can never become tameh. You can throw as many shrotzim as you want into a well, and it's never going to be tameh, because it's connected to the ground.
So if a shetz goes inside the mikveh by himself,
the shetz never becomes tohor, but the water doesn't become tameh, because the shetz is a shetz. The famous saying, "Toivel v'sheretz biyadei." Someone that is really wicked, and he's trying to show as if he's a tzaddik. They say he is toiveling, but he's toiveling with a sheretz in his hand. So he's not allowing himself to be tahor.
It's like my wife's grandmother used to say, "A goy's a goy."
Yeah, you're right. A goy goes to the mikvah as many times as he wants. It's not going to do it unless he went through the process. I think it says with that would in the time of Mashiach, it's actually going to change, because we say that a leopard will change its spots, right? A leopard doesn't change its spots. If someone is sly, is a fox, would he change? It remains. Someone with dark skin remains dark skin. Someone's white skin remains white skin. In the time of Mashiach, it says that the nature is going to change. So that's why the famous prophecy that you'll have a kid playing with a snake, and you'll have a wolf and sheep together playing, and one devour each other. Which is at that time, even the goy, his nature will change. Will help the Jew. Will help the Jew. Help us to do what we need to do, because ultimately it's affected from what we are doing. Deep inside the goyim, even now know that they are affected by what we're doing. That's why they pay so much attention to Israel.
I think they know it subconsciously.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of them know it consciously. Look at the whole thing with the evangelicals. They're like...
I used to meet Israelis in New Zealand. They told me that they don't pay for hotels in New Zealand, because wherever they go, they're being hosted by the New Zealanders. They will have somebody for a week, for 2 weeks, for a month. They say to them, "You're the chosen people. It's a privilege for us that you would stay in our house."
Wow.
They were like going on tracks and for weeks and weeks to travel and wherever they would go. But it came with it told me that after a week or whatever, they would start telling them about Yoshker and
Then they wanted.
Right, ulterior motive.
Yeah.
These evangelicals,
They want. I know they want to do the proselytizing.
big time, buddy.
I know.
And when they want us to get Israel back, it's so that
they have their prophecy, which is
how their Messiah can.
JC.
It's just to pave the way. It's not for you and me. For sure.
Well, still better that than.
But the fact that they're saying it, it's they believe in it. I mean, they may believe that. The truth is, if they read it says in their testament that things will have changed in terms of. Pasuk says, I love you. Hashem says, they say that it used to be. Now, because we've seen,
Hashem changed his ways.
and now He loves them.
Hashem changes
At
his spots.
least they have a backbone to this current situation.
There's a big contradiction on the Old Testament. You know, when in our Torah, if someone comes to you with a gun, what Torah says, kill him. And in their testament, it's
Turn the other cheek.
Yeah, except they don't mean it.
So Hashem changed. How Hashem changed his opinion? He thought better. Oh, let's give the other side.
Yeah.
Don't kill him. It's a big mistake. One of them.
Yeah, they don't mean it.
I guess most of the Hollywood action movies would be outlawed if they would follow that rule.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
It's a stupid rule.
Now what would I do on Saturday nights?
Yeah. So Tashma only a spring or a cistern, a gathering of water shall be toher. The pasuk teaches that water which is attached to the ground cannot become tameh. This implies that detached water can become tameh under biblical law. It says specifically mayon. Mayon is a well, a spring or a cistern, a gathering of water shall be toher, not detached water. My ihiyeh toher. It's interesting that the expression ihiyeh is like future tense. Ihiyeh toher. Is it toher or not? What do you mean will be toher? So it says, what is the meaning of the expression shall be toher mitum also? It means that one who immerses in the spring, cistern or gathering of water shall be purified of his tumah.
So while you're still...
So iya toy is like, I'm not even telling you, the water is for sure toy. What I'm telling you is that if you are tama and you're going into that mikvah, you'll be toy. Iya toy. Anything that goes in there becomes toy.
While you're in there, do you become Torah or not till you get out?
No, if you had tuma, whatever, tuma, so you touched the shells and you went in there, now you toh.
But even before you came out?
No. Even before you came out. There's the moment you toivel, you toh. The moment that your body was covered with water, that's it. You toh. So the Gemara digresses the question, the previous assertion that a verse teaches that even detached water can generate susceptibility to tumah. Uslushin mi machshirin. Now, can detached water generate susceptibility to tumah under biblical law? Amar Be'ezbach Hanina. Be'ezbach Hanina said, Mashkin Be'ezbach Bachaya, the beverages of the butchering place. Loi dayan shein dochon. Not only that they are toher, ela shein machshirin, but they do not generate susceptibility to tumah either. Now, water is one of the butchering place beverages, and if detached water had the capacity to make food susceptible to tumah, biblically, there would be no exception in the case of the butchering place beverages. Clearly, detached water has this capacity only rabbinically. Tirgam al-Dam, interpret the statement of Rabbi Yossi son of Chanina as referring specifically to blood of the butchering place. Water can make food susceptible to tumah biblically, even if it is detached, and therefore Even the water of the butchering place can make food susceptible to tumah. However, sacrificial blood cannot generate tumah susceptibility at all. From where do we derive that the blood of sacred offerings cannot generate susceptibility to tumah? But it is stated in reference to the blood of an animal, you shall spill it upon the ground like water. Dom shenishpach kamayim kamoy machshir. This teaches that blood which may be spilled upon the ground like water generates susceptibility to tumah as water does.
It's not, but it's just susceptible to it. It doesn't become.
Right. Dam she'enu nishpach kamayim enu machshir. But blood that may not be spilled upon the ground like water does not generate susceptibility to tumah. Since the blood of an offering may not be spilled upon the ground and wasted, because the blood of the offering you're not allowed to spill it. It goes into the kli. Right. So since the blood of an offering may not be spilled upon the ground and wasted, but must be received in a vessel and applied to the altar, it cannot make food susceptible to tumah. Matkiv Rav Shmuel Barami, Harei Damatamtis of Shmuel Barami objected to this. Remember, we learned the different types of blood in the animal. There is the blood that trickles out of an offering before and after the jet of life blood. There's the life blood, and there's the blood that jets afterwards, that comes after.
Before or after?
After the shechita, right after the shechita is the life blood.
Right.
This is the most important.
Yes, it's like, and then there's dama tamtzis. It's like the essence of blood. Tamtzis is essence, like tea bag. In Hebrew is called tamtzit. Right? Why is it tamtzit? It's essence, right? It's not the main blood. It's the blood that we're trying to pull out afterwards. Actually, we spoke about the Rambam. He writes that if you don't have to clean that blood if you roast the meat. If you roast it, you don't have to clean that blood. Because what we do is with an animal,
We wash it.
we wash it and salt it. So what's the purpose of salting? To suck out the blood. So if I put it directly on that's so they do with liver. So they put it on the only way to cook it is by roasting it. And that's it. So that's how you get rid of the blood. The fire is now it is
not.
You can put it in a
But
pan.
the
liver
You can't?
only after it's roasted. After it's so what people do after it's roasted, they do liver with it, like a liver spread, or they now cook it, but only after it's roasted. If it's not,
How do they roast the liver?
direct fire, not barbecue, but really like fire.
Yeah.
So my mother, for example, she maybe she still does. They had this two pieces of metal, look like a barbecue net. They holds the liver, and in Israel the cooktop is fire, not like here that it's and you put it for a few minutes on each side, sprinkle some salt, and finish. It's ready.
But when you buy a liver from a butcher, it's already roasted.
No. Over here, it can sell you fresh liver, but it has like a certain time, a very short expiration date. It doesn't last. Yeah, doesn't last for too long. It has to be fresh, and if it's already cooked, meaning then it was roasted. They roasted it for you,
Right.
but it doesn't have the same taste because it's
gets dry.
yeah. If you do it yourself, it's
I'm not a big liver fan.
I
I never eat.
you don't like liver? Well,
The organ meats are very
missing
healthy.
out.
All the organ meats are very healthy.
Yeah, it's to say, but some say that heart is heart and brain is can cause forgetfulness. So,
Yeah.
but liver is perfect.
Yeah, I
The
don't
word
know
is good.
about
It's
the
especially if you're
vitamins.
deficient in iron. They say it's loaded with iron.
Because of the blood. As iron.
Okay.
Shmuel's ready to go on.
To eat or?
No. I ate enough.
אמר זרע הנח לדם התמצת זה אפילו בחול נמי לוי מכשיר. So it says when it comes to dam, there's a blood that trickles out. That's called dam tamtis, the nishpach kamayim, which may be spilled upon the ground like water. Veinu machshir, yet does not generate susceptibility to tumah. We see that even sacrificial blood, which is analogous to water, does not make food susceptible to tumah. Leave the blood that trickles out aside. Why? For even in the case of chulin, too, the rule is that it does not generate tumah susceptibility. Kiblo minei Rabbi Shmuel Barami. Rabbi Shmuel Barami received the explanation from Rabbi Zera as follows: Omar Rachman rak chazak levilti achoy ladom ki hadom hu anofesh. Only be strong, not to eat the blood, for the blood is the life. Deuteronomy 12:23. Dam she'anefesh yotze bo korut dam. Dam she'anefesh yotze bo korut dam. The blood which the life leaves the animal. When the life leaves the animal, when the blood comes out. So that's the blood that is called the blood. But the dam atamts is the blood that trickles out.
Afterwards.
Ain't no korut dam, yeah. That's the difference between trickling and jetting. Tashma dam shenitmo zolkoid, if the blood of an offering became tummy, and a kohen nevertheless threw it against the altar. If this occurred inadvertently, the offering is accepted. But if it was deliberate, the offering is not accepted. So the Baita states that the blood of an offering, which is one of the beverages of the butchering place, is susceptible to tumah. Clearly, then Yosef ben Yoezer meant to exclude the beverages of the butchering place only from contaminating other things, but not from becoming tumah. They can become tumah. This implies that beverages are susceptible to tumah biblically, and it is their capacity to contaminate other things that is a rabbinical innovation. Midrabanon, actually, beverages susceptible to tumah only rabbinically. And this baita, which holds that the rabbis impose tumah susceptibility even upon the butchering place beverages, does not accord with the opinion of Yosef ben Yezer Tzreido. Tashma, come learn a refutation of Rav's view from the following baita. Al-Matzitz Meratze, for what does the tzitz affect acceptance? Know that each garment of the Kohen Gadol had, but each garment had affected some kind of atonement. The coat did one thing, the belt is another thing, and so
This is if they had a bad thought.
let's see. It says no. It says ma tzitz meratze. For what does the tzitz affect acceptance? Al adam al abosor al achelu shenit. For the blood, meat or chelev, sacrificial parts of an offering that became tumah. You see, the kohanim that dealt with the korbanos, they were exposed to making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, we saw that in
It's like the higher your position is, the more exposed you are to mistakes and scrutiny at the same time. So everything you say or not say is criticized. It says Moshe Rabbeinu, if he came out early, they said he was fighting with his wife. If he came out late, they say he's hanging out with his wife too much.
Right.
So whatever he did,
like Trump.
The Havdil.
But no, I'm saying, the only thing I'm saying, whatever Trump does, they hate, whatever. If you,
But any president,
right, no,
any
but him
president,
especially.
any president, anyone that makes those decisions, makes big decisions, you'll have 50% people liking it, 50% people
But
disagreeing with it.
Especially him.
So,
Because he garnered more power, so he went higher up.
It's the
So that's
position.
especially.
It's not him.
That's why.
Right.
He's the strongest person we ever had.
God forbid I should compare him to Moshe Rabbeinu, but I'm just saying, in terms of the criticism, it's.
yeah, I'm saying anyone that has that power, that has is in that position, it becomes, you'll have people who like.
Hydrochloroquine. Look at that.
Even Moshe
Look at that,
Rabbeinu
what
had
they
people.
did with that,
Even
just 'cause he liked
Moshe Rabbeinu had people that disagreed with him.
it. Right. How many thousands of people died because he liked it? Everybody else decided they had to hate it just because he said it.
Some people saying it the other way around. That if you would have made different decisions, then you'll have less people dying. There's no.
But they don't know
there's
what
no-
those decisions could have been.
Right.
If you would have done it differently, what
Right.
Right.
And
You know.
we won't go into it.
what Joe Biden wanted?
But it's like, but oh yeah, I could have done it better. What would you have done? I don't know.
Right. But not that.
I call him the corpse now. Biden, that's what my nickname for him, the corpse.
I think zombie is better because it's like
Zombie.
living dead.
All right, yeah.
So
Up for modification, I should
we said that ma tzitz meratze. For what does the tzitz affect acceptance? Al adam al aboso v'al achelu shenitma. For the blood, meat, or chelev of an offering that became tameh. Ben b'shegeg, ben b'mezid, whether inadvertently or deliberately. Ben b'onis, ben b'rotzen, whether through a mishap or willingly. Ben b'yochid, ben b'tzibur, whether the offering was bought by an individual or by the community.
And also maybe whether they knew it or not. Because
Yeah,
it could be that they didn't know something.
Isn't it goes under the shegeg and mazid? Yes. Shegeg is that you didn't know. What shegeg is, either you didn't know it was asu, or you knew it was asu, but you didn't know that this is what you were doing. It's like, what does it mean to desecrate Shabbos b'shegeg? Either you didn't know it was Shabbos, say today's Shabbos, you didn't know it was Shabbos, or you knew it's Shabbos, you didn't know that you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos.
What about I went into the bathroom on Shabbos around 2 o'clock, the lights were already off. And then all of a sudden these little lights came on.
Yeah, it happened to me. So as soon as I see that it's off, I go to the mikvah's bathroom, because you have to tell the rabbi, because it happened to me also. You go in there and you activating the sensor, and lights goes on.
Yeah, my wife freaked out. She like, like the,
Yeah.
because I just turned the light on.
Yeah.
If you walk in the streets, also can happen.
Yes.
Yeah,
See.
but you don't know it all the time. But here, if you know it, then it's okay.
Yeah. Now we know it, that it's.
I think if
you
you're not
tell them,
alone,
if
it's
you
not a
tell them.
problem.
He has to know that that's going on.
Well,
The route.
No, it's he has he has it set up to, let's say, 2 o'clock to.
I know, because he doesn't expect people to be
To
there.
say
He doesn't expect people usually to be here, but this time people stayed. You just kissed us. People stayed longer. So the Gemara says, "Me the Rabbanon, actually beverages susceptible to tumah only rabbinically. The like case of Ben Yezer Tzreida, and this Baisa which hold that the rabbis impose tumah susceptibility even upon the butchering place beverages does not accord with the opinion of Yosef ben Yezer Tzreida. Tashma, come learn the refutation of Rav's view from the following Baisa V'nos Aaron Savena Kedoshim, so that Aaron shall bear a sin of the sacred offerings. This teaches that if the service of an offering is performed in a forbidden manner, the tzitz atones for the sin and makes the offering acceptable.
oh man.
V'chi ezo avon uneise. Now, which sin does Aaron bear by virtue of the tzitz?
People,
Im avoin pigul. If you will say that he bears the sin of pigul, that somebody is planned to eat it beyond its appropriate time. It's already said about pigul, it should not be accepted.
Right.
If it's a sin of noiso of eating leftover, referring to an offering concerning which the Kohen had the intent while performing the blood service that it is consumed, that it be consumed, that its blood be thrown, its sacrificial parts burnt, or its meat eaten beyond the allotted time. Yeah.
Pigul and notar both are meat that's eaten
The
after
term pigul refers to an intent by the one performing the blood service of an offering, that the offering be consumed.
Oh, so I'm giving the offering now, but I don't want to till
No.
on Thursday.
Eating it outside the base of Mikdash.
Offering be consumed outside its prescribed place.
Right.
Outside, so he has in mind to eat it, let's say in Tel Aviv instead of eating it in Yerushalayim, or eating in Yerushalayim instead of eating it in Beis Hamikdash. And the noiso is he has the intent to eat it beyond its time.
Oh, no, it's just the
Okay.
time. Yeah, and
I think they made a mistake here because it's pigul. They're saying after the permitted time,
No, yeah, after pick always be at the time and not so.
but it doesn't say place though. You said it's place.
Yeah, the term pigul refers to an intent by one of the by the one performing the blood service of an offering, that the offering be consumed outside its prescribed place.
Oh, place, pickle, place.
Right.
That is, he intended either to apply the blood or burn a sacrificial part outside the temple courtyard, or to eat the gift portion outside the permitted area. See Zvachim 27b.
It's both, correct? Or-
Yeah. Although the term pigul does not actually carry this meaning, it does appear in this context in Scripture, Leviticus 19:7, as exposed in the Gemara in Zvachim. White considers whether the tzitz can lift the sin of pigul and effect acceptance for such an offering.
So if the Kohen is wearing the seeds,
Am I asking, is it going to help us with the pigul or noiso? So far it says no, it's not going to help. Even the tzitz is not going to, because it says lo yerotze, and that's what it says regarding pigul, lo yerotze, which means it shall not be accepted. And if it's avoy noiso, if it's the sin of noiso, it says lo yechoshev, or ikvarnem, lo yechoshev, it should not be considered. Eino noise ela oven tuma. So we must conclude that by virtue of the tzitz, Aaron bears only the sin of tuma, she'utro miklolo betzibur, which has an exception to its prohibition in regard to the community. My love, tumas dam. Is it not presumable that the sin of tuma, which Aaron bears, is the sin of tuma of the blood of an offering? And since a biblical verse teaches that Aaron bears this sin, the sin of contaminated blood, we learn that the blood is susceptible to tumah biblically. You understand? Meaning, since Aaron can lift that tumah, Aaron, the tzitz that he's wearing, can lift the tumah of the blood. So it shows that if not for him, it is tumah. Biblically, it is tumah. Just Aaron helps it to removes it, but if not for him, it is tumah. So Amar of Papa Loy. That's not what it means. Tumas kemotzim. What is tumas kemotzim? The kemotzim, the sin of tumah that Aaron bears is tumah of the kemotzim, of mincha offerings. The kemotzim are susceptible to tumah biblically, since they are foods rather than beverages. It says in 19, kemotzim is the plural form of komets.
that's
Many.
Pesach. Now
Yeah.
they come. Pesach.
Which is the portion of mincha offering that is separated and burnt upon the altar. A mincha offering consists entirely of meal and has no blood. The service that is done with the kometz corresponds to the blood service of an animal offering. If the kometz became tomeh, the offices of the tzitz are needed to effect acceptance of an offering. Since the koimetz is a solid food, all agree that it is susceptible to tumah biblically. Tashma, come learn a refutation of Rav's view. Scripture records the following exchange between the prophet Haggai and the Kohanim who returned from Babel to Eretz Yisrael. To help to help build the second temple. So hein iso ish besar kodesh bechnaf bigdoi. If a person carries contaminated flesh in the corner of his garment, the flesh of a sheretz, the term kodesh, literally sacred, is used here as a euphemism for tomei. It appears in a similar context in Kings 14:24 in a similar fashion. So it says, "V'no gabechnof ve'ela lechem ve'ela nozer ve'ela yain ve'ela shemen ve'ela kol machol." And with his garment's corner, he touches bread, a stew, wine, and oil, anything edible. The bread touches a stew, the stew touches wine, and the wine touches oil or anything edible. Ayiktosh. Will it be contaminated? So again, you have object A touches object B touches object C. How much can the tumor be transmitted? So he says, if a person carries contaminated flesh in the corner of his garment, and with his garment he touches bread, the bread touches the stew, and the stew touches wine, and then the wine touches the oil.
5.
Ayikdosh, will it be contaminated? Vayanu HaKohanim, and the Kohanim replied, no, lo yikdosh. V'amar Rav ishtabush Kohani. Rav said the Kohanim erred in declaring the oil tohor. Haggai, the prophet, discussed a case in which the chain of tumah transmission included wine and oil of kodesh, which are beverages that are offered upon the temple altar. We see that even sacred beverages of the temple are susceptible to tumah. So let's just finish that. It says, Midiu time el Rav. Is this question relevant to any opinion than that of Rav? The Gemara says no. And according to Rav, there's no difficulty at all. Rav mashke besit b'chai etoni, ava mashke b'mit b'chai metam. Rav taught Yosef ben Yoezel's testimony as stating specifically that the beverages of the temple butchering place, blood and water, are toher. However, the beverages of the altar, wine and oil, which are offered upon the altar but are not found in the butchering place, are susceptible to tumah. So we see another distinction between the Beis Mitbachayim and the altar itself. Beverages of the altar, oil and wine, they are susceptible to tumah. And the beverages of the butchering place, which is blood and water, they are not susceptible to tumah. We'll continue, God willing, tomorrow. Bucham to you.